And on the G5 550, I charge $2,500 per day, and that's pretty much it.
Hi, my name is Gear Down. I'm a pilot and AMP-IA mechanic. I currently manage and captain a handful of Gulfstreams for some A-list celebrities and musicians. This channel is going to take you behind the scenes with me as I go on adventures around the world. We're going to go backstage to concerts, behind the scenes to film and TV shoots, and all kinds of other crazy excursions outside the airport environment. My goal with this channel is to show you guys there's an entire world of Part 91 private flying that's available to you as a career. I hope you enjoy all the content I've been putting together the last couple of years.
Today I am going to cover everything from how to get into corporate flying to how I became a pilot and all the other questions you asked the other day. I'm getting ready to answer them. I'm still down here in the beautiful Exumas in the Bahamas on vacation, so I figured I would answer some of the questions you guys had. So stick it out for this video. I'm going to be covering a whole bunch of stuff, so let me find a nice quiet place to sit down. We'll get into it. All right guys, let's get into this. So as I previously said, I'm down here at the beautiful Kahari resort down in the Bahamas. I hope the ocean noise is not too much in the background here. We'll see how that comes out. But I'm just gonna start rolling through these. So first one comes from a Prestige Carriers. He says, contract pilot, what is the best type rating for marketability? I'm thinking the Gulfstreams. So my biggest answer to that question out there is, if you're looking to get the most amount of work, I always recommend that everybody goes towards the aircraft that you have the most network in, right? So if there's a guy at your field or an operator at your field that has a bunch of citations, I would go talk to that person first before I run out and go get a type rating. I wouldn't just go run and get a Gulfstream type rating and then hope that somebody has a Gulfstream that wants to give you a job if you have no network in that. I hope that makes sense. So I'll give you guys a little bit of background. I've had a lot of questions on this myself. How did I get into flying Gulfstreams? I had around, I think 12 or 1300 hours when I got into the Gulfstream, and it was kind of a chancing that happened for me. A friend of mine called up and asked me if I wanted to come be an FO on a G4. And I said, heck yeah. I had nothing else going on at the time. So I said, let's go and we'll go fly the Gulfstream G4. So I did. I got my commercial single, my commercial multi. I did my G4 initial type rating all within 60 days. And I get a lot of questions all the time. Do other people pay for my type ratings or my recurrence? The answer to that is no. I've never had a single person pay for any type rating on any aircraft that I have at all. I've paid out of pocket for every single one, from the G4, the G5, the difference is from the G5 to the 450 and 550 and the Citation 501 500 series. So I don't recommend just running out and blindly buying or paying for an initial if you have no network. If you have somebody that might be offering you a job, or if you know a bunch of guys that fly Gulfstreams that you can talk to them, they say, yeah, we could use you to fill in, then it might be something you might want to consider. But you got to think, these type ratings are extraordinarily expensive. My G4 initial, this was several years ago, cost me about $30,000, and the G5 is even more than that. So these are things you're going to want to take into consideration. What are the minimum requirements to apply for a position in my company? So although I do own a management company, I don't hire people that I don't know. Everybody that I fly with, for the most part, are friends of mine and people that I've known through the years of flying in this industry, which is why I always preach in these videos that networking is the #1 way to get jobs in aviation. Network, network, network. I don't care if you went to Embry-Riddle. I don't care about any of that stuff. If I know you and you're somebody that I get along with, that I could see myself on the road with for 10 or 15 days at a time, you're probably somebody I'm willing to fly with. Any suggestions for somebody who's studying for their ATP? All I can say is, if you're studying for your ATP, and this is from David Pego, if you're studying to get your airline transport license, I mean, honestly, it was really rough for me. I'm not big on math and science. I'm big on science, but not really strong in the math area. I use Shepherd Air to prepare for the written, and then everything else, I just kind of watched as many videos as possible. I'm not the type of person, I'm not a big textbook guy. I'm the kind of guy that, I gotta see it. I gotta be watching it to keep me engaged. Cam Casey, I'm mostly curious how you ended up doing what you're doing now instead of flying for an airline or something more conventional. Keep it up. Yeah, so I'm not the type of person, I would never fly for the airlines. It's not my thing. You guys can tell from the videos, I'm not big on wearing uniforms. I like to set my own schedule. Now, my situation is a little bit unique in that I retired several years ago. I retired after decades in the music industry, and I started flying just for fun. When I said that I happened to fall into flying corporate, that's kind of how it happened. This was never a career path for me. I've been retired for over a decade now, and this is just something that kind of happened. So this is something that I do supplementally. It keeps me traveling. Obviously, I make a ton of money doing it, and I have a lot of fun. And I get to spend a lot of time on the road with friends of mine, which is awesome. So, you know, I think the airlines have a really, I mean, the airlines are struggling for people right now. The bonuses and all the incentives that they're offering are absolutely insane. So I wouldn't tell anybody to not count the airlines. If I were starting out and this was going to be my my way to get into the industry, I might take up one of the airlines on one of those 100,000 signing bonuses, put a couple years in and just cut your teeth, you know, get a bunch of hours of turbine time, bunch of hours of turbine PIC time. And then, you know, you have a pretty strong resume at that point. And you're going to meet a lot of other pilots. You're going to go to a lot of places. You're going to sit a lot of bars and restaurants talking to other pilots. And that's how these relationships are formed, right? Just here on this beach here, yesterday I was hanging out with my family, and the guy sitting in the cabana next to me, he's a Challenger 605 captain. And we got to talking, and the next thing you know, it's, you know, he's in my phone, I'm in his phone. If something comes up on a Challenger, I'm going to give him a call. And if he hears of somebody that might need help on a G4, G5, G550, he's going to give me a call. So again, it's just, the more you're out there, the more people you're going to interact with, and the better off you're going to do in this industry. Captain Michael 787, I really want to become a pilot, but I have absolutely no idea where to get the funds. I'm 17 and an extremely hard worker. Any ideas? Yeah, you know, honestly, I'm not sure exactly how the ins and outs of the airline programs work, but there are a lot of programs out there where they're offering to pay a lot of your training. You may have to come out of pocket a little bit, you know, in the beginning or something like that, but that's where I would hop on YouTube. I'd start finding things that you can do in your area to go make some money. Shoot, go down to the local airport and offer to wash airplanes, or, you know, anything you can do at the airport. I would do that, because what do? You're going to start building that network. You're going to start meeting people. You're going to get access and exposure to a bunch of different airplanes, which is going to expand your knowledge. So when you're talking to people, maybe you run into me somewhere, you might know a little bit about what you're talking about. And then I'm inclined to further conversation with you, right? So those are some of the things I would do. But at 17, I would focus on your studies right now. If you're not already done with high school, finish that up. Make sure you got strong marks. And the most important thing is make sure you have good credit. Because at the end of the day, if you got good credit, you can finance this stuff. Oh, we lost my page here. All right. So I'm trying to do this video a little bit kind of raw. I don't want to do a ton of editing because I'm on vacation, but I want to get this up to you guys. So you just have to kind of pardon my kind of sporadicness here. Let's see. I got a question from Mark Thomas. Are you a captain? And if so, how long were you a first officer? So I am a captain. I'm a captain on the G4, the 450, the 5, and the 550. I'm a single pilot captain on the Citation 500s, which is what I own. And I have my co-pilot's license, my SIC 3 bounce on the Gulfstream 650. As far as how long it took, when I first started out, I was a first officer, co-pilot on the Gulfstream G4. Wasn't making a ton of money back then. It was, I think my pay was somewhere around $700 a day plus per diem. But I did that for a couple of years, traveled the world. And after a couple of years, I upgraded to the left seat as soon as I felt comfortable. And here we are. When are you going to sell the Piper? I don't think I'm going to be selling the Piper. I bought that airplane as a fun, economical plane that I could have and kind of operate just around SoCal at will and kind of have a little bit of fun. The Citation burns 160 gallons per hour. That's what we plan for of Jet A, which is I think hovering around $6 or $7 a gallon right now in SoCal. I'm not really sure. Don't quote me on that. I haven't flown my jet in probably 6 months. But Yeah, the Piper is great. If I want to just shoot up for a meeting in LA real quick, I can hop up there. It won't cost me an arm and a leg. If I want to go to Catalina, which I used to love to go to all the time when I had my Cirrus, my other piston airplanes, I would do that a lot. It's just not economical to do it in the jet, and places like Catalina are kind of off limits with the jet. So I'm hanging on to the Piper Aero for the foreseeable future. All right, Brooke Troutman, where did you do your flight training? And pros and cons over contracting versus going to a company like Netflix. So I did the majority of my flight training at Fun Outside Aviation in Fullerton, California. That's KFUL. I'll tag them down below. The owner, Garrett's a very close friend of mine. He's a really awesome guy. I showed you guys in the prop balance video. They were in the background there. But that's where I did my primary training. After I got my private pilot's license, I bought a Piper Cherokee 140. I actually bought it on eBay. Paid, I think, $20,000 or $21,000 for the airplane. And I finished my training in that. I did my instrument in that. And then I upgraded to a twin Comanche where I did my multi-engine. And that was it. I was a private multi-instrument rated pilot for the majority of the years that I've been a pilot. I didn't get any of the excess ratings until it was time to go fly Gulfstreams. And I'll get into that story a little bit here in a couple more minutes. As far as Netflix versus contracting, everybody's situation is a little bit different. I got brought into this industry as a contractor, and it's what I'm most comfortable with. To go back to before, like I said, I'm retired. I kind of do this when I want, how I want, and I make a lot more money this way, which I like. And also, if I want to take 2 or 3 weeks off and not fly, I don't have to call anybody or tell anybody. I just turn down trips. On the other hand, if I was flying for NetJets or something like that, I'm going to be one of these guys that's flying a jet, bouncing. I have a couple friends that fly for NetJets. I love them. They're awesome guys, but I look at them posting on Instagram sometimes. These dudes are doing like 6, 8 stops. Dude, I don't want to do that stuff. I don't want to be hopping around North America, you know, loading a million flight plans and all that stuff, you know, 10 times a day, sleeping at a hotel, waking up and doing it again. It's just not what I enjoy doing. Is Netflix a good company to fly for? I truly believe so. The people I know that are there, they're very happy doing it. But again, you have to remember, these are career pilots. This is what, you know, this is their end goal in life. I can stop flying tomorrow and it's not gonna affect me one bit. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna make less money, but again, I'm retired, so this is all just kind of bonus money for me at this point. So it's kind of whatever you feel like doing, you know? For me, I'd rather be down here at the beach hanging out. I like doing the contract gigs that I do, working for the musicians and the other artists and actors that I fly for, because it takes me to cool places like this on vacation. And unless we're on tour, I'm not hopping around all crazy. And when we are on tour, it's kind of a little bit of a different situation. Those get a little exhausting, but you know, outside of the tours, I prefer this over anything. Okay, I wanted to add this in really quickly. I built the majority of my Gulfstream hours flying for the State Department, the Department of Defense, and the Department of Justice. So I've flown Gulfstreams all throughout the pandemic. I've been to over 74, 75 countries now, something like that. So that's why it's easy for me to get work in this industry. I have insane amounts of international experience under some of the most adverse conditions. So I've flown into military bases. I've been stationed on military bases. No, I was not ever enlisted in the military, to answer that question, because I know that's coming. But yeah, I've been all over the place as a civilian contractor for the federal government in many different areas and theaters of the world. So I've been all over the place, done a lot of things. If you can find a way to get in with a company that has a contract with the government to do some stuff like that, I would say definitely go for that, because when people see your resume and they see that list of countries you've flown to, and some of them are pretty sketchy, they know that you know what's going on, you know what you're doing. So I'll go ahead and leave it there. I'm gonna get back to enjoying this awesome water and go find me a cerveza. So, all right, let's get back into it. How would you recommend somebody who's looking to get into aviation management, get into the industry and make connections, coming from Will Hyde 3? You know, I kind of fell into the management stuff. I know that most of the people I know that run awesome management companies, they have degrees in aviation management. So that's what I would suggest. Then I would start just attending all the functions, you know, get out to NBAA, get out to, it sounds hokey, but get out to OSH, get out to all these different events that are hosted all around the country and even the world, and just start talking to people. What I've noticed a lot in this world, in our current climate, is that everybody seems afraid to talk to people. You can't be scared to take the first step. Go walk up to somebody, introduce yourself. Hey, I'm Tom, I'm new here. Or, you know, what are you guys up to? You can't be shy. This is one of those industries where the people that put their foot forward and jump into a conversation, you're gonna go the farthest. Can I explain more about how much I make and stuff like that? I cover that pretty well in the Gulfstream G4 video I put up two or three videos back. I'll link it in the description here. It's pretty simple. I charge a day rate for every minute I'm outside of my house, so I come back home. On the Gulfstream G4, I charge $2,000 a day. And on the G5 550, I charge $2,500 per day. And that's pretty much it. And I bill from the minute I leave my house to the minute I get back to my house, whether I'm flying on an airline, sitting in a hotel room, flying a Gulfstream, or sitting at a hotel on the beach like this. I'm billing for every minute, and all my hotels are covered. I get a per diem. I charge between 100 and 150 bucks a day, and ground transportation, all that stuff's covered. Rental cars, yada, yada, yada. So that being said, it kind of in a nutshell. If you want the real in-depth, again, go look at the link down below, and that'll take you to the video where I kind of go over this a little more in depth. Charlie Nebel 5604, do you plan on getting ratings for any other jets like Falcons or Globals? So I'm kind of a brand guy. The Gulfstreams, they're all, the methodology and the systemology is relatively the same on all the things that I've been trained on anyways. So I'm one of the people that I like to stick to what I know. My network is the most strong in Gulfstreams. I don't really know anybody that's on Challengers or Falcons. I got a couple people, met a guy over there, like I said earlier, that's on the Challenger, but you know, this is kind of one of those things, stick to what you know, right? Do I want to go waste 3 weeks of my life to go run through an initial for a brand new manufacturer, make and model of airplane? Not really. I know the Gulfstreams, I know them in and out, I know how everything works. And as I've upgraded or progressed my career in the Gulfstreams, the new initials have not been so difficult because just like in cars, the evolution of the next model is kind of loosely based on the previous model, as you know, as far as systems and stuff like that. So for me, my plan is to stay right here in the Gulfstream world. I am planning on upgrading my Gulfstream 650 SIC type to a full PIC type, maybe towards the end of this year in December. But outside of that, it's just Gulfstreams and the Citation for me. So let's see what else we got here. Hockey dude, 27 years old with 750 total time, 25 turbine with an SIC and a C560. I'm having a hard time staying busy flying. Any suggestions on how to get more time? I'm also working at a shop, working on my AMP and test flying airplanes for the shop. Again, this is just one of those things. You might just be limiting yourself by staying at your current airport, right? So get on Facebook, go join some 560 groups, right? Get out there, start talking to other guys that fly 560s. And I think Facebook groups is a great way to do that. And again, NBAA, all these other events, I'm going to keep saying this over and over and over again in these videos. You just got to network. If you're just going from your 560 to the FBO and back to your house and then to the AMP shop where you're working at and just doing that circle, you're never really expanding that reach outside of what you're currently doing. So you're going to want to, you got to get outside that circle. And again, you got to, you know, just puff your chest up and get out there, get the pride up and go for it. You can't be shy in this industry. Oh my gosh, I lost this page again. Where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at? Let's see what else we got here. Okay, this comes from a 750 Quiz 4. What would you say the best path to travel from 0 hours to where you are right now? That is, I see a lot of these comments in here. A lot of you guys are looking for the shortcut to get to flying Gulfstreams. Honestly, there's no shortcut. You gotta put your time in. I spent several years just flying around in piston, single and twin airplanes, not for any money either, just to further my previous business. And I was perfectly happy doing that. But you have to cut your teeth. Nobody's just gonna say, hey, here, you know, you have 0 time, I'm gonna pay for your private, your instrument, your multi, your commercials and all that stuff. And I'll have you in a Gulfstream a year. That's unrealistic. So you gotta be realistic with your expectations. I think the fastest way, if you can if you can do it, is ATP flight school, period. It's like 100 grand now. It gets you boom from zero to airlines. So you want the fastest, easiest way, that's probably it. I would make sure I was studied up and I know all the basics before I showed up to the first day of class. Learn that. They got the airline reimbursement program and all that stuff, so you're gonna pay out of pocket in the beginning. If you have good credit, take out a loan, do it. By the time you get to the airlines, they're gonna pay that all back for you. So you want the fastest way, that's the fastest way. Dennis Massey, 3552. Who's the most famous person you fly on a regular basis or a lot? So as we've covered a bunch of times on the channel here, I don't discuss who I fly. Some of you guys are smart enough to, you know, go searching and kind of look between the cracks and figure it out. I fly one person most of the time, but I do fly a bunch of other A-list celebrities and musicians and actors, but I don't talk about them. It's important to respect their privacy, and you know, they're not paying me to be out here talking about what I do for them or where they go or what they're doing. So I don't really talk about that too much. What are the big differences between corporate and commercial pilots? This is a tough one for me because I've never really been a commercial pilot. All I can tell you is what I see is commercial guys, the training is a lot more regimented. It's a lot more, there's a lot more continuity and training for the commercial guys, all the airline guys. The airline guys, for the most part, get much better travel benefits and all that kind of stuff. Plus they have the unions and all that. Corporate guys, it's a little more loosey-goosey out here. Yes, our sim training is standardized, but again, you can have a different training experience at flight safety versus CAE on the Gulfstream G4. I know because I've experienced it. One place does it a little bit differently than the other. If you're flying for American Airlines, every time you go to that 737 sim, it's the same thing, probably the same instructor over and over and over again. On the corporate side, our travel is much better. When we go, at least when I go places at my end of the corporate stuff, I'm usually staying at 4- and 5-star resorts, and I'm getting all my Marriott points and all that stuff. So I'm a Marriott ambassador. I get that because I'm flying corporate. The airline guys, they just go sign in on a sheet at whatever, you know, whatever hotel the airline has worked out for them in the city they're in. So again, one of the other reasons that I'm not into flying for the airlines. The schedule for us, I think, is probably worse than the airlines, but then again, I'm not too sure. I know a lot of my guys work 15 on, 15 off. So I don't know how that works in the airlines, because again, I've never flown for the airlines. What is the William Johnson? What is the best way to get your A&P while you have another aviation hustle? That's a tough one. So to answer, I get a lot of questions about how I got my A&P. I went to school full-time for 2.5 years to get my A&P. So I just knuckled down. I was retired at the time. I bought an airplane. I have a very strong background in automotive stuff. You guys have seen I got a bunch of cars in the shop and all that stuff. But I bought that Cherokee 140 I was telling you guys about, and I realized that I wasn't legally allowed to do very much to it mechanically. So I decided I'm retired, I have nothing else to do, and I went to A&P school. So that's how I did it. I know there's ways you can do it working at a shop and doing a logbook every day, but you know, I guess that's probably the easiest way if you have a full-time job, is just go work at a shop part-time until you get that magic number of whatever, however many hours it is. Eton Thompson says, has any air traffic controllers ever pissed you off? The answer to that question is no. I'm sure you guys get the vibe from my videos. I'm pretty easygoing. I kind of just show up, do my thing, and they're there to do their job. I'm there to do mine. And unless it's something that's really going to screw up what I'm doing, safety-wise, controllers are just telling me what to do to make everything easier for everybody. So for the most part, I could say no. There's been a couple times in my citation when I've been stepped down a little bit earlier than I like, causing me to burn more fuel. But on the other hand, I know that my citation's slow than a lot of the guys coming behind me, and they got to get me out of the way. So that's part of what happens when you own a slotation. Jake Costello, how do you handle being a pilot for some extremely well-known celebrities? Whether it's also being a fan of them and handling those emotions, as well as all that comes with it. I know this could be a generic business is business answer, but with me, I've been a tech at $1 million for a long time. Just curious your thoughts on it. You're one of my role models as I hope to cross into the corporate pilot sector. So as far as getting starstruck by people, I don't. I don't care who I fly, as long as they're cool to me, I'm cool to them. I'm not one of those people at all. With some of my clients, we have to be a little bit more careful. I don't post things on Instagram in real time, just for security reasons. I typically post stuff, you know, a day or two after, once we've already left the location and stuff like that. But I retired out of the music industry, so I've been around celebrities for the last 20 plus years. So it's not a big deal to me. I don't care who you are. Again, like I said, as long as you're cool to me, I'm cool to you, and I'm respectful. I get along with everybody, and haven't really met too many people that dislike me. So life's good on that front. So I am who I am, and I just smile and go with the flow. Lando, once someone gets their commercial license, should someone instruct or apply for low time cargo and charter hours? Are there a ton of 750-hour corporate and charter jobs out there? Thanks and happy birthday. Thanks, Lando. So I will say this, one of the companies when I was first flying on the Gulfstream, they were hiring FOs that had 350 and 400 hours. So it's not to say it can't be done. The most efficient way to do it, if you live in a city that has a super busy flight school that's going to have you slammed flying, you know, 6 students a day, that might be the fastest way. If you live in a beach city that's, you know, they got banner tows that run all summer long, you know, 8 hours a day, that might be your fastest way. So I think it's kind of location based on, you know, what's the right way to go. Yeah, there's a Merit flight out there. One of my good friends, you guys have met Kyle on the channel before. I fly the Phenom with him. He also flies the Gulfstream with me on occasion. He flew for a Merit flight for several years based out of Puerto Rico, and he's one of the best pilots I know. Literally one of the best pilots I know from that experience. So, you know, I think it's location based. But for me, I would choose, if I had to pick something right now, I would call everywhere that was available to me, and I would see what was going to give me the most amount of hours in the shortest amount of time and not care about the money. Okay. Lauren Cunningham says, what's your favorite aircraft to fly, and is there an aircraft you've not flown yet that's on your bucket list? Okay, so yeah, this is really easy. My favorite aircraft right now, realistically, is probably the Gulfstream G4, just because it's so overpowered and it's so fun. The G550 is great, G5 is great, but the 4 is just so overpowered. It's so much fun to fly. Top of my list, I mean, honestly, I think it's everybody's. I'd like to fly a G700. It'd be pretty cool. But yeah, so I'll say G4 and G700. All right. Covered that. Okay, Monkey Boy 8424 says, did you pay for the Gulfstream rating yourself, or did a 135.91 operator pay for it? If so, is that on payback or bonded scheme? So I touched on this a little bit earlier in the video. I'll give you guys a little more in depth of how I got into flying Gulfstreams right now. So years back when I was in A&P school, I was going to A&P school full time, and because I wasn't there as a typical student, you know, most of the guys there are trying to get a job to go work for Delta or American, something like that. I was just a 30-year-old guy that was there to learn how to work on his own airplane. So I had a different relationship with the staff of the school that I was going to. Well, at the time, they also had a flight training program there as well. And so I would hang out with the dean and stuff after hours. We'd go out, you know, have a couple beers or dinner and stuff like that. And our families knew each other, so we'd hang out. And eventually, the flight training aspect of this college, they went out to bid for a new contract. And they told me that, the dean told me that it was going to come up for contract and that I should consider putting a bid in. Now, at the time, I'd never known anything other than a flight school than the private pilot flight school I did at Fun Outside with Garrett. And but I felt really confident that as a student, not only was I a student, but I was an honor roll student. I was on the dean's list. I was in the honor society. I had one of the top finishing scores in my A&P program, like in the history of the program, like going all the way back to the 70s or 60s. So that being said, I was like, man, I'll give it a shot. So I opened a flight school from ground zero. I went from never owning a flight school to full-blown FAA Part 141 flight school in about 9 months. And I put the bid in for the contract with the college. I got the bid for the contract with the college. And this was at a time when it was really hard to get CFIs. So again, I'm the type of person, I'm not afraid to just
cold call somebody, and I did. So I went on Glime's website, and they have a listing of CFIs, and I started calling from the top of the list all the CFIs in my area. Hey, do you want to come work for me? I'm going to pay double what the other flight schools are offering. And I happened on this guy's really good friend of mine to this date. He happened to be an aviation attorney, and he was also CFI, but he wasn't CFIing on the regular basis. He was kind of more focusing on being an attorney. And he came down, he interviewed with me, and I hired him on the spot, and we became really good friends. And for the next couple of years, I ran this contract with the college. It was awesome. I wound up selling that flight school off to another outfit, Chinese owned, got my payday, and I was back to retired again. And when I sold the flight school, the friend of mine, he went off to go fly Gulfstreams for one of his friends. And about 6 months later, he called me and he asked, hey, are you interested in coming to fly Gulfstreams? And I said, absolutely. And that's how, that's kind of how all that went down. So that being said, when I went to go fly this other Gulfstream, they told me that I was going to be on a contract basis. They weren't going to pay for my training. They weren't going to guarantee me work. But if I wanted to have a shot and do it, I could do it. And I was at a position in my life where the money wasn't the problem. The timing wasn't a problem. I was literally doing nothing else. So I said, yeah, sign me up. So, as a matter of fact, I'll back up for a second there. Before they offered me the job, they asked me, could I handle being on the road for 10 days, 12 days at a time? And I was like, absolutely, I can do it, no problem. So I flew out to Thailand for a week with one of the owners, and I watched how their system operated. I had to fly out commercially, obviously, because they flew out there on the jet. And I hung out for a week, basically just sat around for a week hanging out with them, and I watched how all the inner operations of this company worked. And at the end of it, they said, do you want a job? And I said, yeah, I'll do it. They said, you're gonna be a contractor, you gotta pay your own training. I said, let's do it. So I did. I paid 30 grand. I made that money back, you know, pretty quickly by just staying on the road. And I eventually branched off, started contracting for other places, and started expanding my network. And it's kind of how I fell into where I'm at now. Okay. I get a lot of these questions that are asked, should I go corporate or go airline? I think that depends on your financial situation as you sit right now. Corporate versus airline, they're two completely different beasts. But you go the airline route, there's a lot of airline reimbursement programs out there. So if you don't have the money right now, it might be prudent to go to the airlines, get through all those ratings, get some jet turbine PIC time, you know, finish out your contract, and then go corporate. Unless you have a solid network. If you know a guy, like I've got a bunch of friends at Orange County Airport that own 135 companies, and they're always asking me, hey, do you want to come fly for us? Yeah, I'm not interested. But if you're in that kind of position, corporate might be the way to go. I'm the type of guy that I like to follow the path of least resistance. So the faster I can get somewhere, to whatever my intended goal is, that's the path I'm going to take. So that's what I would do. Never look at money as the end all be all, because remember, your time is something you can't get back. You can always make money. So if I could get a job, you know, doing XYZ, and it's going to get me 100 hours a month, and it's going to pay me $1,000 a day. I'm sorry, you know, $500 a day, but I can take this other job that's going to get me, you know, I don't know, 200 hours a month, but it's only going to pay me, you know, $50 a day or whatever. You get what I'm saying? I'm going to go for whatever's going to get me to that goal of that time the fastest. So like I said, I'm not the strongest at math, but you guys get what I'm getting at there. So path of least resistance, what's the quickest way to get from point A to my goal? And that's what I want. That's what I'm going to do every time. I do that in every aspect of my life. And I think it contributes a lot to my success. What else? A lot of you guys ask a lot of the same questions. Best way to network, again, just get out. You just got to talk to people. Tommy, when going through school, were you a straight A student or just an average student? Obviously you went to A&P school, but you got to be mechanically inclined. Just curious, as many aspirating aviators wonder how good of a student one needs to be, especially in math and science, coming from Carly Stavensky. So in elementary and high school, I was a screw off. I did the bare minimum, literally the bare minimum. I didn't go to college until I started college at 28 or 29, I think. So by then I was in a completely different mindset, and I wasn't doing it. I wasn't going to school to do anything. I was just literally going to school to learn to work on my airplane, which is why it took me 2.5 years to get my A&P versus standard 2 years, because the first 2 semesters, or the first semester I was in school, I was only taking 2 classes. I just want to learn how certain things worked on the airplane, and that's what I wound up doing there. So that being said, when I did decide I wanted to go full-blown for the A&P, I sat down, I buckled down, I studied. I also I did at the same time, I did the aviation pilot training program and A&P. So I was in school every day from 7 a.m. till about 9 p.m., 5 days a week. No summer break, no winter break. We'd get, I think, like a week off for, or 2 weeks off around 4th of July and a week off for Christmas and New Year's. Other than that, for 2.5 years, nonstop, that's all I did. I just went to school. I didn't drink. I literally just lived in my textbooks for that entire 2 years. And I came out of it, like I said a little bit ago, on the dean's list with honors. And yeah, it's pretty good. So I think if it's something you're interested in, you apply yourself, you'll do just fine. I get this question a lot. My affiliation with Happy Dad, Full Send, and the NELK Boys. So long story short, I flew an airplane one time that the NELK Boys were on, and we kind of became friends. I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 months later, they asked me if I was interested in investing in Full Send and Happy Dad, so I did. So when you guys see me wearing a lot of Happy Dad and Full Send gear, that's where it comes from. I'm an investor in Full Send and Happy Dad, and we just have a good time. So they're some of the nicest guys on the planet, some of my very closest friends now. We've traveled the world together, been all over the place, and I have a great time. And I'm nothing but grateful for the opportunity that they gave me to be able to invest and be part of the brand. Let's see. How many hours do you have to get into corporate flying? I'm currently working on my IFR in Torrance with 200 hours. Circling back to what I just said a few minutes ago, I knew an operator that was hiring people at 350 hours to go fly right seat in the Gulfstream. So the world is kind of your oyster, but you just got to get out there and get the, you know, there's no one certain way that you're going to be able to find these opportunities for yourself. You have to get out there, you have to do the work, you have to dig for it, and you got to find those opportunities. They're not just going to fall in your lap, right? I did the work to get into Gulfstreams by cold calling through that Glime CFI list, right? And that's how I met my buddy that was doing it for me. So that being said, that's kind of, you just got to put the work in 100%. There's no shortcuts. There's no getting around it. You got to put the hours, you got to put the time in. All right. Let's see here. All right. This will be the last one here. What is a realistic total cost for all of your flight school and everything with it? Asking for someone who's thinking of starting school this year, depending on cost. That's a really tough question to answer, because I did the majority of my hours in time building an aircraft that I own. So I've owned, I think I'm on my 8th or 9th airplane right now in my life. Our private pilot, this was years ago, so I was paying, I think, $100 an hour a wet, and I think $35 an hour for CFI. I could be wrong there, it's been a long time, but I think I got my private for around $8,000 or $7,500 bucks. I think all in at this point in my career, if you're not counting type ratings, I'd say I'm probably in the $40,000 range, $35,000, $40,000 range to get me all the way through multi-commercial. If you want to add in the type ratings, I spent 30, 45, 15. So that'd be 75. I've spent about 90,000 in type ratings. As far as keeping my type ratings current annually, I probably spend about 50,000 a year keeping my type ratings current on the 4, the 5, and the citation. So it's a lot of money, but it's worth it for me. I think last year I cleared just under 600,000. So, you know, it's not a bad life if you could figure out how to get here. And again, there's no other way to get here other than hard work. You just got to put your nose to the grindstone and get it done. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up now. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I absolutely love it out here. I'm down here at the beautiful Kahari Resort in Exuma, the Bahamas, right across the water from Georgetown. Ask me a few more questions in the comments. I'm sure I'll do another one of these videos soon. So you guys know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. New video next week. That's it. I'm gonna enjoy a couple more days in paradise for my birthday and then headed back to the grind. Hopefully I'll see some of you guys out at Oshkosh. Let me know in the comments if you're gonna be at Oshkosh. And that's it. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks so much for watching.